Welcome back to Offbeat Gyan. Today's video is for the first year BA English Literature students of Manonmaniam Sundaranar University. History of English Literature by William J. Long is prescribed for the first year students. So in this particular video, what I have done is I have discussed the important questions from the introductory chapter of that book, the questions and the answers. So I'll be dealing with it in a question answer format. And towards the end of the video, you will find a couple of questions, objective questions, which can be expected from this chapter. I'm sure this will help you in preparing for your university exams. So let's jump into the topic. The first question that you can expect from this chapter. What are the three important qualities of literature? There are three important qualities of literature. The first one is artistic quality. The second one is suggestive quality, and the third one is permanence of that particular work of literature. So now I'll be discussing it one by one. What Long says is that the first important quality of literature is that it must have an essentially artistic quality. Every form of art, according to William J. Long, is a reflection of some truth and beauty that is present in and around us. But it has remained unnoticed by us until it is revealed to us by some sensitive soul, by some sensitive human being. What seems like an ordinary sight to us is elevated to beauty by the poet's sense and sensibility. So he gives the example of a few lines written by a poet about hay, something as ordinary as hay. So the poet is able to see truth and beauty in ordinary things like grass, which is something that is hidden to most of us. Yesterday's flowers am I, and I have drunk my last sweet draught of dew. Young maidens came and sang me to my death. The moon looks down and sees me in my shroud, the shroud of my last dew. So, the first important quality is artistic quality. The second important quality of literature is its suggestive quality. So, this suggestive quality, it inspires our feelings. It awakens our imaginative fancy. For this also, Long has provided a number of examples to emphasize how literature has a suggestive quality, and it is this suggestive quality which helps us to imagine a world of beauty, a world of love, a world of heroism, a world of music. He gives the example of Milton's Satan saying, "Myself am hell." And when we read these lines, "Myself am hell," we imagine a new imaginative world. Hell is sort of recreated for us in the form of Satan by Milton's line, "Myself am hell." So when we read such lines, these lines arouse our imagination. They take us into an entirely different world, a world of beauty, a world of enchantment. The third quality of literature, that is permanence. So the enduring appeal of a work of literature remains long after the creator of that particular work has passed away. So the permanence of literature is decided by its ability to provide joy and delight to future generations. So that is the answer to the first question. What are the three important qualities of literature? Going on to the next question that you can expect from this chapter. The next question is, what is William Long's definition of literature? Literature is a form of art that reveals the truth and beauty of the world through words that arouse our sense of beauty. Long defines literature as the written records of the race, including all its history and sciences, as well as its poems and novels. In the narrower sense, literature is the artistic record of life. The next question that you can expect from this chapter: what are the tests of literature? What are the tests of literature? That means, how do you identify whether a particular work is a piece of literature? How does it qualify as a piece of literature? So, there are two things. One is universality and the other is style. The first test of literature is its universal appeal. Any work of literature that arouses our interest and the attention of a very wide and large section of people across the world, appeals to their emotions, appeals to their feelings, that particular work has the quality of universality. So, Long points out that good literature knows no nationality nor any bounds save those of humanity. So what does literature deal with? It deals with basic human emotions. The sincerity and the depth with which it depicts love, pain, hate, joy, sorrow, anger. It strikes a chord with people everywhere. Strikes a chord means when we read about all these emotions in a particular book, we identify with it. We are able to feel the same thing, or we are able to remember that something like this has happened in our life also. And these emotions happen in people irrespective of national, social, regional boundaries and borders. Every human being across the globe experiences these universal feelings of anger, joy, impatience, intolerance, unhappiness, hate, joy, anger, all these things. So human emotions are essentially the same across nations, and any book that appeals to maximum number of people has the qualities of permanence and universality. The second test of literature is, of course, style. So what is style? Style is often something that is indefinable. When you ask somebody what is your style, you will find that people usually fumble how to define style. The same goes for literature also. If you are asked to define the literary style of a particular author, you have to think for some time before you come up with a conclusive answer. So Long gives a very good explanation for the word style. Long says that it is the unconscious expression of the writer's own personality. He says that it is the expression of the thoughts and feelings of humanity by one particular person's soul. I'll repeat that once again. It is the expression of the thoughts and feelings of humanity by one individual's soul. So every writer expresses feelings, interprets human life, and that is deeply influenced by that particular writer's perspective or point of view. And this is the personal factor that decides the style of an author or a poet. So any book that has the quality of permanence will have both objective and subjective aspects. It will have universal and personal elements. And all these aspects will be present in more or less degree depending on that particular writer's personality. So when a writer describes a nation, that is a country, a particular group of people or a race, that description is deeply influenced by that writer's personal life experiences, and it is this that forms the unique style of each writer. I hope the definition of style is clear. The next question that you can expect from this chapter is, why should we study literature? The objective of studying literature is to know people. A very simple definition that is given by William J. Long. So, when we read a book, when we read poetry, when we read a drama, when we read a one-act play, when we read a novel or a short story, we imagine and it gives us pleasure. So literature helps us to know the lives and experiences of other human beings. When you look at history, history is a documentation or record of the actions of men and women. Literature is not just a record. Literature is an imaginative record of other people's lives, of other people's experiences. Literature reveals the inner thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and passions of human beings. Aristotle said about literature that poetry is more serious and philosophical than history. Goethe described literature as the humanization of the whole world. So that is why literature is very, very important, because it helps us to understand the lives of other people. It helps us to imagine other lives. It helps us to experience other lives. Why is literature important? The next question that you can expect from this chapter. Again, Long gives a very good answer to this question also. Literature preserves the ideals of a people, and ideals, love, faith, duty, friendship, freedom, reverence, are part of human life which are most important, which are most worthy of preservation. Preservation means to save. These are the ideals that we should save. These are the ideals that we should pass on to the next generation. The ideals of love, the ideals of faith, the ideals of trust, duty, friendship, freedom, respect. These are the ideals that we pass on from one generation to the next generation. And it is literature that upholds and preserves these virtues, these qualities, which help civilization to survive and go on. He gives the example of the ancient Greeks, whose stone sculptures, monuments, and writings in prose and poetry are their greatest gift to humanity. Why? Because they are excellent ideals of truth and beauty. So, literature is important because it documents, preserves, and upholds the ideals that are passed on from one generation to the next generation. And these ideals are the basic foundation on which our ideas of freedom, progress, religion, and family survive. So that is the answer to that question. Why is literature important? He further adds, certain other important points also to that. What he says is, literature is the expression of life in words, of truth and beauty. It is the written record of man's spirit, of his thoughts, emotions, aspiration. It is the history and the only history of the human soul. It is the history of the human soul. History is the record of human beings, of human life. But literature is the record of the history of the human soul. So literature must be artistic, it must be suggestive, it must have permanence. It must stand the test of universal appeal and personal style. And the object or purpose of literature is to provide joy and enable a better understanding of human beings and their culture, thought and philosophy. So, literature is enjoyable and indispensable for humanity as a whole. So, towards the last part, I have summarized the entire chapter, the introductory chapter of William J. Long's History of English Literature. Now, coming to the objective questions that you can expect from this chapter. What is the most significant quality of literature? Artistic quality. Every form of art is a reflection of some truth and beauty. What is the second significant quality of literature? Suggestive quality. What is the third significant quality of literature? Permanence. What are the tests which decide the quality of literature? Universality and style. What did the Anglo-Saxons call God? All Father, which is mentioned in the text also, but I have not talked about here. but it is there in the text prescribed for you. So I hope this introductory discussion will help you to understand the chapter and help you to prepare well for the exams that are coming up. So all the best to all of you, and in the next video I will be dealing with the next chapter, which is Anglo-Saxon literature. So thank you, and hope you will all learn this, and happy learning to all of you. Thank you.